Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lorcana Cookout. I know it's been a minute, but we are excited to give you guys a brand new episode. We got here Eddie, aka Suddenchill. We got me, Hector, 24K, and then we got a special guest today. One of my teammates of ours, and it's Ego Dre. You guys know him. He's got a good amount of resume. With him going on, and we are very excited to have you here. We've done top PPG events, top the DLC before, and then we are getting ready to hit Milwaukee, man. And as this time I was the first time we're going as teammates. I think Seattle. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
well,
think
technically Seattle. It
so.
was
Yeah.
Seattle. Technically, I was already in Seattle, so. But it looks like we are more connected this time. So we're excited to see what we got going on, and we are excited to give you guys some tips, how to prepare, some decks, how set champ's been looking. We got a lot of details here for the cookout. So stay tuned and let's get it going.
We are officially in the DLC week. Milwaukee is literally days away, and the time has come. Finally, NA gets a chance to swing at the Golden Mickeys. And before we dive into DLC, let's talk about our set champs. I know it's been like I think 3 weeks now, deep into fabled set champ season, and it's been a good ride. I think most of us have been doing pretty well. Topping, even winning some. But yeah, what's your guys' take on the Fable set champ so far? Like, it's good, bad, worth. There's some things you like from it.
Uh, I guess I could talk about my experience so far. I mean, I've had a pretty successful set champ season. Last weekend I played in two. Yeah, I played in two last weekend, I think, and this past weekend. So the weekend before and this past weekend, and one of them being top choices, which I got a second place in. And then for this past weekend, I got first place at the CX Collectible Exchange and Red Saber set champs. And then at TDK as well too, I ended up getting top four. I was a little disappointed in the performance because I wanted to get the three-peat on top two in the area at least, just make it to the finals and like every set champs that I go to, that'd been nice. But for this one, semifinals, had to settle for it. But no excuses there. How about you guys?
Alrighty. I mean, I'll talk about a little bit of mine. I did go to six of them. Three of them didn't top. Three of them I topped. So three for six, I guess. Um, which was this time was different because I did decide to go to pretty much the six hardest ones I could do. The reason why this one I was kind of not really going for the map, but I needed to get the most practice in. So I definitely am happy that I went to the ones that I did. And Yeah, weirdly enough, the way this format works, I think the three ones that I got my dragons was the three hardest tournaments and the easiest ones, except TCG. For some reason, I just suck when I have to represent my own store. But I for some TCG and CX will be, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. It's always and
It's a
but they'll
curse.
be like they'll
No,
be the same players.
it's
Don't get me wrong.
literally a
It'll
curse,
be
dude.
KDK and it'll be the same exact players. It'll be San Diego, same exact players. I'll top those. Like it's just those two venues that go haunt me
Yeah,
forever.
no, I'm not gonna lie. I can't even explain how many locals I've lost at Top Choice just playing within the first couple rounds, and I just get absolutely washed by by your local people. I don't know what it is. The home field advantage in Lorcana isn't actually home field advantage, weirdly enough.
Yeah. But the last one we did was TDK, which was also really cool. It was a lot of people, a lot of from different size areas. The team all decided to go. We finally got some jerseys that you guys are gonna see in Milwaukee. Someone was rocking it out. And then yeah, it was like four of us made top cut, the top eight. Me, Dre, got to just play what round five for seeding because we were that comfortable to where it doesn't matter. We're gonna top anyway. Let's just play for seeding like this piece. And then yeah, I had a great time. Shout out Fran, got me in top eight. Then Fran's like, now I'm only gonna take you out. I'm also gonna take out Dre. And they were like, all right, it's up to you, Adam. So we're glad Adam came through. But hey, shout out Fran because she moved up definitely some levels there. So it's for you, Fran. But yeah, congrats again to everyone that won. Adam winning that switch, and then everyone that got those mats. Congratulations to you guys. But how about you, Eddie?
There we go. I'm back. Yeah, for me, guys, like, I missed the first weekend. Like, I didn't go to TCG because I went to Utah CCQ with the Team Red Saber. Over there, I didn't do good in the main event, but I won a side event, so came back home with a few boxes. Then I started my first set champ run at Misplay, and that one was Brad's birthday, one of my teammates, and it was cool. Where that was the one where me, Rob, and Brad all topped. It was like almost like a 40-person tournament, like surprisingly big for a small shop. So that one felt good, and that was with Blurple. That was the first one with Blurple. Felt really good. And then Sunday, I felt like competing all the way, and I also wanted to try Amber Steel. I've been testing Amber Steel a lot, and so I took Amber Steel to game nights, and me and Donald went there, and I took it down. That one was the room was literally half Blurple, half Amber Steel, like 16 players, and it was like almost 8 for 8, and
Mhm.
and somehow out of the top 8, um, the top 4 was 3 Blurple players and me, and I was first in Swiss, so I was Amber Steel on the play against Blurple. So that one I just 2-0'd every Blurple player in the room, and I 2-0'd every Amber Steel player in the room. So that one was like a wild where I didn't even go to game 3 the whole tournament. Um, that was crazy. That was the first time I ever did
Yeah,
anything like that.
I feel like that's actually pretty smart to talk about. Like, we can talk about the fields of like the set champs that we were in. So, for example, like the top choice event, I'm trying to remember exactly what we had seen a lot of. I know
A
I
lot
played
of blue
against.
green. It was the early member. It was a lot of blue green and a lot
Right,
of blurple.
yeah, and there's a lot of dogs too, right? Like for the top choice set
Yeah.
champs, I felt like there was at least 3 dogs in the top cut, like in the end, and like Cesar taking out one of them, me taking out another one of them as well too, and then ultimately losing in the finals to the last one. I think there was a decent amount of green yellow in that one specifically because that was like right off the back of Bologna, so there was a lot of people that were switching over to the dog deck and really enjoying that strategy to be able to beat like most of the field at least they're a top choice. And then now switching over to the CX event, which is the one that oh yeah, I didn't even show
3
the
weeks
map.
later.
This guy.
Show the map. Guys,
There
Woo!
as well
everybody
too.
got some of
That
that.
we
A
earned.
lot of people got the regular mats, but Dre got the 101 foil. Dude, it looks so nice on
That thing
camera.
was
Oh my
hard.
gosh.
That was
Yeah.
so sick.
Shout out to Fran for
Foiled
making
out.
these. You guys could hit up
Yes.
look up Lorcana Fran
Yep.
if you guys
I
want to
was
get any
at a shout out Red Saver. He was able
foiled
to
out.
team up and get that man going.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you guys want to get any foiled out customized mats, check it out from Lorcana Fran. Anyways, that I think that event specifically, the CX event, there was a lot of blue green there as well too, and a lot of amber steel. Like there was a lot of
Yep.
aggro amber steel in that one as well too. I think I played against it twice in that event, or no, I played against it once for sure in Top Cut. And I was able to take that game luckily because I had the advanced play draw, and I was able to really be able to play that matchup out as Blurple versus Amber Steel aggro. That one's a tougher one, but a lot of blue green in that event as well too. I think it was really popular out in CX for whatever reason. I've been seeing a lot of that. And then for this last Sunday for the TDK event, for the Switch event, just a bunch of purple steel, a lot of amethyst steel. Like I felt like it was all over the place. A lot of people were playing that deck, and a lot of people were doing pretty well with it. Adam ended up winning it with the purple steel deck, and yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what you guys have seen like different, but it's interesting to see the meta kind of slightly shift week after week, right?
yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
I'd like to definitely talk a little bit about that because we it was definitely I remember seeing the paper rock scissors and people were like Blurple, decks that beat Blurple, decks that are beating the decks that are beating Blurple, right? And it was like that. And it was so high
Well,
representation to Blurple. But when you start thinking about it, the paper rock scissors is pretty even because the the rock, let's say if it's Blurple, right? But then you have the scissors, that will be 2 decks. So you combine the percentage is almost getting there to the percentage as Blurple. And then you start getting the decks that beat the Blurple, which is purple, steel, and blue green. And you combine those percentages. So we're starting to get this like evenly almost field of like paper rock scissors, and that's why it's very. Some people like that format, some people don't. It could get very hard variables. Like you
mm,
can be the greatest player, but if you're going against paper all day, you better be hoping you draw really good and be winning them battles every time. So yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about how if you guys like that whole paper rock scissors format, because it definitely does feel like we have the purple, and then it's purple, steel, blue, green, because they're okay into Blurple, but they're beating the aggro decks, right? And then you have the Amber Steel and Dogs, right? That are
mhm.
doing the. So it definitely does feel like that Paper Rock Scissors kind of solidified itself, because let's be real, other than those 5 decks I just mentioned, you have those like crazy rogue decks that you better be really good with: purple, green, blue, steel. You better be like know what you're doing with those decks. But how do you guys feel about all that, or how I don't know in general?
I'll say yeah. Like in general, I think we figured out that I think the litmus test or the way you feel comfortable going into a tournament is knowing how to be blurple. So everyone has that game plan for blurple because it's the deck you expect to go against because it's the most likely represented deck at every tournament. So because of that, we see a reaction. We see more amber steel. We see more green steel. And because there's more aggro, we see another reaction. We see purple steel coming up now. And then it's all starting to kind of balance itself and find its like harmonious relationship in the meta. Because before it was just purple, like and like amber steel and some purple steel. But actually it was purple and purple steel and then some amber steel. And then now it's like it's pretty even between purple steel and amber steel. Purple still popular, and blue green seems to be the one that's coming down compared to the rest. And dogs, I think a little more dogs now. In at the end of October, we see dogs kind of maybe being more represented than ever. It used to be 5%, now it's maybe closer, like a little higher. Because I've been seeing before, like I go into these smaller set champs or these other set champs, and I never see dogs. I see purple, I see purple steel, I see amber steel, but now I know like at TDK, at CX, these bigger shops, we see some dogs, and that's like normal now. And I think we're gonna probably talk more about that when we talk about the DLC, but yeah.
But also about the dogs, how you mentioned it, I think because people I think do agree that it's like if it does feel like it's a better Ember Steel deck, but I don't think how many people realize when they jumped after that Bologna, how many people would realize like, oh, I can't just pick this deck up and play. Like
Mm-hmm.
it actually takes some skill to play the dogs deck. You know, it takes a
Oh, a
lot of
much harder
patience,
deck to
it takes
play.
a lot of time before you
Yeah.
can
Absolutely.
actually pick that deck, and it's not Ember Steel. It's not doing what the no discredit to Ember Steel deck, but it's like different strategies to where like you're oh wait, we're not really an aggro deck. Like you know what I mean? Like it definitely doesn't go like that. Um, but also I wanted to kind of put mention. I don't know if Dre felt this at CX and possibly at TDK. So it's starting to feel like there's less blurple sometimes in some tournaments, and the less blurple players in the room, the more powerful we are. I say this because me and Dre were playing blurple, right? And then I
Yeah.
think Zan said this in his podcast too, the less players, like the more people that are falling off Blurple because everyone's attacking Blurple, so they don't want to play Blurple.
Right.
The more the Blurple players that stay get more powerful, right? Because then it's
Yeah.
like we don't have to
Mm-hmm.
deal with that much mirrors. Like you know what I mean? Like my hardest matchup that day was me and Dre's mirror. I did face two mirrors with Mark, but those were like the most intense matchups because
Mhm.
we feel like we already solidified the strategy between everything else. But how do you feel, Dre, about
Mhm.
like the less Blurple players? Do you feel more powerful, like in of itself, or?
Yeah. I definitely think there's credit to that because a lot of the ways that you can tackle a tournament is it's all about having the confidence to be able to bring a certain deck. So the way that the meta is shaping, a lot of people are seeing like the Emperor aggro decks get more popular. People are seeing the dog deck get more popular, and people are all having strategies for the Blurple deck. You know, the players that were on Blurple originally who were picking it up and thinking, oh, I can pick up this deck because it's the best deck. I'm going to be able to play this at whatever event and do well. They don't want to do that anymore because they're seeing like, oh man, I can't do that because people are playing aggro, people are targeting me, people are playing aggro purple steel variants, they're playing green steel, they're playing things to be able to beat the Blurple deck. Because of that, a lot of the players start to fall off because they're like, I'm not confident to be able to take this Blurple deck into my set champs because I'm afraid that aggro is just gonna beat me. Now I'm gonna be honest. My honest opinion about it is that Blurple is the best deck. I think it's been solidified. I think it's been basically proven, especially at Bologna, it's been fully proven that this deck is the best deck. If you have a game plan versus every deck in the meta, I believe you can still go very far, even if you do have those outliers of like really bad games where you don't draw what you need to see to be able to beat those aggro matchups and you just lose those on the spot. Even if that happens, I still think that doesn't change the fact that the Blurple deck is the best deck. Now, does everybody feel that way? I don't know. I don't know if everybody feels that way. Honestly, people are starting to think Purple Steel is going to be the best deck because obviously it has a good matchup into anything and everything. But that doesn't change the fact that people are falling off of the Blurple deck, and because of that, you know, people are now worried about other matchups or they're worried about other variants and stuff like that. And Blurple is one of those decks. You know, if it's the tier 1 deck in the room, if you are not focusing it, if you're not thinking about it, if you are worried about seeing other decks at all, then it'll catch you on your flaws. Especially if you're a good player who's on the deck, that deck will catch you on your flaws almost every single time.
weirdly enough too, that the more purple steel, even if we go with the route of yes, purple steel is so strong, is the most balanced and well-rounded and consistent, stronger deck. The
Right.
more people go on to purple steel, the more the purple players will still be stronger than those purple steel players, because now we have that good matchup. You know, like the more room of purple steel, then the stronger purple gets. So that in of itself can almost not make purple steel never be the best deck,
Yeah.
because the Blurple is always going to be purple steel.
Yeah,
Obviously, if you
because
make aggro
as
purple,
long as people are swinging over to the purple steel list, the Blurple deck only gets stronger. You know what I mean? Unless they're all trying to play some variant of aggro. Like honestly, like that matchup may be winnable for the purple steel deck, but for the most part, that Blurple deck usually just takes over, because if it lets you get into that late game without you hitting your 10 lore swing, then 90% of the time the Blurple deck just ends up taking over at some point. So a lot of the times that deck is just fully favored. So it's feels like it's even more of a reason for me to take this into Milwaukee, because a lot of people leading up to this event are feeling the same way that they're feeling about walking into set champs. They're like, man, I don't want to take this purple deck because I'm scared I'm going to just lose to aggro, and I don't want to fly out to Milwaukee. I don't want to spend all this money to go out there and all of a sudden just lose to the aggro matchup. I'm scared for that to happen. And what I say to that is, let's just have a game plan. Have a game plan for it. If it happens, it happens, right? But for the most part, we should do everything in our power to mitigate that from happening. So the main reason I think it's correct to be able to take that deck. And a lot of the players, the top players, they don't feel like that's a correct option. And I think that's part of the downfall of them currently in this meta right now, which is why you're not seeing, the same consistent results from players that you were seeing before consistently put up results, is because they are also afraid that that's not a viable strategy going into a tournament. And it's more of their ego not letting them lock into what is actually the best deck. It's genuinely the best deck. Like, you should lock into it. You should buy into it. Like, it's just you'll see. I'm pretty sure people will see results with the Blurple deck, and I'm excited to see like how many people end up bringing it in the end.
yeah. And even though I know, sorry, Eddie, sorry to cut you off. I'll let you go right now. But before I lose my train of thought, even though I also agree with Dre, but even though he says that, guys, that does not mean change to Blurple right now and play it as this Saturday. At the end of the day, we are playing this 4 deck, 5 deck format that you've been more comfortable with Amber Steel, Purple Steel, Dogs. If you feel really comfortable and have these strategy against every deck, just like he said, then that's the deck for you. Just because a deck is more powerful than another, that doesn't mean it's the powerful deck that for you to be piloting, right? So at least that's my thought. I don't know what you guys think. I'm like, it's the best deck. Automatically take it 4 or 5 days in. If you've been Amber Steel aggroing, like I don't know, you know what I mean? But because those other decks can win and can top, and they have, like I said, you still build them to be Blurple, so that's also a piece. But go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah, like I mean, on that conversation of Blurple being the best deck, I think no one like disagrees. I think everyone who's been testing every deck understands that card for card, Blurple has the best card quality, and in this meta, card quality is probably the most important thing because we don't have the crazy ways to draw like we used to. We don't have a crazy way to control the board like we used to with board wipe. So Blurple by itself, turn 3 Genie, into turn 4 Elsa, into turn 5 Belle, into turn 6 Hades, Big Elsa. That's gonna just out control most matchups, like on the curve, and without sacrifice. And then you take one turn off to like seeing second star, refill, and do it again, right? It's not a hard deck to play, but it's a very powerful deck to play, and it is a hard deck to play in the mirror because I think that's where its skill can shine, and specifically in like the 3 or 4 card slots that are different. Like people always have the debate over develop or revisions. How do you deal with aggro? Do you go with do you go with support character? Do you go with more big Elsas? Do you need Monstro for green blue? Is green blue gonna be relevant now? There's always like this 3 or 4 card slot debate, and some people are trying different cards, and that's fair because the deck has that amount of flexibility and still be consistent. We still have the turn 2 ramp being the biggest variable. So some people hedge that with like a one jump or a Pleakley or more develops. So yeah, and we've all played Burple, so we all know how it goes. We all know how it works. We all know how it wins. We all know how it loses. And as someone who plays other decks too, like I think Amber still would be great for DLC Milwaukee too, not just because of the Blurple matchup, but because it's one of those decks that like out the gate, Amberstill's gonna have the most powerful cards on turn 1, 2, and 3. It's where if where you put them in a position to deal with the threat, or if they don't deal with the threat right away, the game's over. So Amberstill has that like edge of being OP on the play and then just being super threatening out the gate. And there's certain variations in how you pilot it that make a big difference in specific matchups, like the purple steel matchup or green blue matchup, which can be hard matchups. But if you play a certain way, see the right cards, you like auto win those matchups with Amber Steel. Purple Steel, I can talk about how Purple Steel is probably the most consistent deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, you have your line. You're gonna sing strength, and then you're gonna keep going, keep applying pressure. You have the biggest bodies that can 2-for-1, and you have ways to exert to control, like more consistently, because you have the ability to just keep going. Like play Dumbo, get a card. Play Genie, get a card. Some people are portraying Elephant. There's all types
It will
of
never.
things.
Purple Steel will never not get to play.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Like Purple Steel will always get to play, and Purple Steel will always have a chance to win every game against every deck. And that, if you play that and choose that, that is peace.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's the mid-range deck really. That deck does a really good job of being able to play every matchup to the best of its ability. I'm not going to say that it does anything like totally unfair, other than the points in times where it can like dock double cobra you or something. Like when you get double, I've been genie double cobra, like that stuff like really is really good. But other than that, like there's nothing too unfair that deck does compared to like the Blurple deck, which is sometimes it can feel very unfair when you're playing against a Blurple deck, and then obviously the Amber Steel deck can feel very unfair when it just goes triple daisy. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you gonna do? Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You don't really ever feel that way with the Purple Steel deck, but it also has that middling ground of where you never feel like you're in a bad position playing Purple Steel. So
To be fair, like me and Dre are playing Blurple, so Yzma rarely resolves. But I can only imagine against other decks, that Yzma resolving pretty nasty.
yeah, I mean that's honestly a good switch that a lot of the Purple Steel decks have gone to. They're playing all of the best evasive units, and then they just throw in an Yzma as well too. And it's like, man, there's just so many things that you need to target. You need to be able to get rid of, like the evasive units that are questing on you. They have a Dumbo that's gaining them advantage, and then they have bodies that are seeing strength or swinging you out, and then they also have Yzma. And it's like, all right, well, these are a lot of cards that I have to deal with almost every turn, and they're
And
playing
even its
multiple at a
worst
time.
matchups, right? Because its worst matchups are Blurple, but I've seen it defeat. I've seen Purple Steel. I've gone to a lot of game threes against Purple Steel. So it's not like, oh, I'm favorite, I'm two on you. That's definitely not how Purple Steel works.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
then
absolutely not.
even Adam in of itself, like I don't want to say the name because maybe they want to keep the deck as secret or whatever. But he faced he's been even beating Blue Steel, which tell you guys Blue Steel, you feel really favored into Purple Steel, like super favored. So Adam proved it, and then it's just really good and solid. But I did kind of want to. I don't know if we were getting off topic this one, but we didn't get to talk about the outliers a little bit, and I kind of wanted to ask you guys' opinion about what you guys feel about these three decks, which is Blue Steel as it was mentioned, Green Steel, and Purple Green. These are the three outlier decks that is the paper rock scissors, and then there's these three decks, right, that are just splashed in, right? So what do you guys? There's Purple Green, and I'm talking about that Cusco, Mother Gotho. Dre knows what I'm talking about. I'm sure you guys.
Yeah.
You do
Brady.
too.
So yeah, I can definitely speak on it because I spent a good amount of time, like an extensive amount of time, trying to test that deck. I was considering taking it to Milwaukee, honestly,
Do you
because
wear?
it genuinely has like a 100% win rate versus Blurple. It's actually insane. Almost every game that I played versus Blurple in my testing, like it was unwinnable for the opponent. Even in situations where they started to figure it out and they thought that it was basically over, like I was able to climb back in and be able to finish it off. That deck absolutely has a 100% win rate versus Blurple. I don't think Blurple could beat it, at least the way that it's built at the moment. I think they would have to play like multiple monsters or something like that. Like there's definitely different game plans to be able to beat the GP deck. But other than that, that deck is very good into Blurple. However, its other matchups absolutely horrid. Oh my goodness, there is sometimes like it doesn't work the same way as the blue green deck where you can just be able to under the sea no matter what because you don't have the same amount of ramp. You can't shift as consistently before they're able to clear your board. So like sometimes versus the aggro deck, you can still just lose. Like you can't just get off the under the sea. Same thing with versus the Chroma Dog deck, the green yellow dogs. They're able to under the sea you first, or sometimes they just go out with that big quest swing and then you can't do anything about it. And then lastly, the purple steel matchup. Oh man, that felt unwinnable almost sometimes. Like that felt like really bad because all they have to once they figure out what you're trying to do, they just hit your shift targets and it's over. You know, it's very difficult. So I think that deck is pretty good. I don't know if you guys, I think the deck is good. I just don't think it's worth taking into a 12 round event,
Right,
especially
and
for
then
Milwaukee,
they were
where
saying
you might be able to see something.
statistically, you're bound to face. So they said the whatever the numbers, you're bound to face 3 to 4 blurples, right? Statistically,
Yeah.
that's how the numbers are in a 12 round. That's if you make day two, right? 12 rounds. So, but what if your deck's like how Jay said? Well, what if your deck starts against 9 other rounds? 8 other rounds.
Hmm.
You just can't afford that, right? Like, yeah, I went four
Yeah.
and nine. I beat all the 4 blurples though. Like that doesn't cut it, right? So like
Yeah.
there has to be this medium here to like, yes,
Yeah.
beat blurple, but you cannot be like sweating every other match.
Yeah. The deck is good. It's missing some stuff. I don't know. How about the green steel deck? Eddie, you have any comments on the green steel deck?
I haven't really tested it that much, but I know it's an aggro deck and it's a Chromacon deck, and it has the ability to kind of get underneath Blurple. It's one of those. It's kind of like similar in purple green in that it passes the it can beat Blurple test. It's
Yeah.
just kind of like how you said, and that how's it do into other stuff, right? I think it does struggle to purple steel, and it can even struggle to amber steel, just because some amber steel is just a little faster at times. But the warden helps, and having the steel bodies help. Um, so
It
like
beats dogs, right? Am I tripping, or is it supposed to be dogs? I think it is, right? With the
it can,
gator and the
yeah,
steel
I
card.
think it absolutely can. I guess I'm not sure if it runs Lewis, but I think it probably does run Lewis, the gator.
Yeah, it does run Lewis. I think there's a lot of the times that Philip helps a lot in a lot of matchups. Honestly,
The
like that's
Philip,
kind of the
yeah.
way that they play it. The Philip is pretty good. Whether it fully beats the dogs, I'm not 100% positive because a lot of their game plan is to be able to bounce back the dock that's on the field. So like what they'll try to do is they'll try to make it so that you swing over their bodies. And I don't know how often the Chromodoc deck is trying to swing. Not only that, like they also try to win a lot through Go-Go. So Go-Go is like one of the main ways that they try to win the game like fully. So being able to put damage on their bodies, especially when they don't turn their Chromadog sideways, might not be the best case scenario. I don't know how often that still happens in that matchup, but that's usually the game plan of the deck, right? It's like there's a dock bounce back your or Chromacon
It's
bounce
the only
back your
deck that
dock.
can do that, right?
Go be able to, yeah, it's the only deck that can do that, right? So be able to actually apply pressure with those two cards off of the Chromacon is just really good. It makes it so that your opponent is always in a situation where they're trying to go for trades to be able to clear your board, especially if you're ahead. And every time they're going for trades, they're giving you back your advantage cards like over and over again. So whether or not that's good enough to be able to beat the dog deck, I'm not sure. I know it's good enough to beat a lot of the other decks in the format though, and it's one of the reasons why we saw it succeed in Bologna. However, my one thing about that is that I feel like it's one of those decks where like once you figure out what it's trying to do, you can definitely beat it out. Like you see that it's trying to put down the Chromacon and make it so that you clear the bodies. If you just ignore it and kind of like hard quest, you should be able to beat that deck a lot of the times. So it's one of those decks where it's going to falter now because people know what the deck does. So I don't think I can't expect to see it again in the top 8. So I mean, Hector, you can talk about
Yeah, and then
we'll give
before we
you
go into
your
Comic because I that is one card that I had Wasabi on 2 set champs because of this card. Chromicon, I was sick and tired
Crazy,
of Chromicon, and I was so afraid.
crazy.
But I think it figured itself out because I will say this: the Chromicon players realized how good it was into Blurple. But one, they started realizing how much that card sucks on the draw. Two, they started realizing how like Purple Steel and these other decks, like Amber Steel would be like, okay, I'll ignore you, boom, or Purple Steel would be like, I don't care, and I still I'll value you.
yeah. There's a
It
reason.
wasn't. It was literally like a blurple tech, and it feels like whatever against everything else, right? Like you'll get
Yeah,
under the seat, and like what? And it's like you know what I mean? It's like I
there's a
don't know.
reason why the Chromicon wasn't a good card at the start of the format, and when it was played over the weekend of DLC Bologna, everyone seemed to have forgotten that card wasn't good. And the reason why it wasn't good is because sometimes you just turn your cards to the left and you just quest out, and you can just ignore the fact that they have bodies on their side of the board. A lot of times, more often than not, it's not a catch-up card. It is a prevent you from stopping me from winning card, which is ultimately just another aggro card. So yeah, it's not one of the things that you want to see happen too often. And in your deck list if you're trying to do well in an event. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah, I
yeah, we
mean,
can talk about the Hector. You can talk about the blue steel deck. I mean, that's all you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely, like the outlier deck, and I think even Zan had said it. Like, we're 2 months and a half in. People are trying, but even Zan, even he was trying himself, and he was like, the format has been figured out, guys. Like, this is what it is. Like, pick your deck. Let's stop trying to be cute. Let's start trying to do all these crazy things and that. Like, there's a reason. There's people have been testing, do a lot of testing 2 months in. Like, it's really hard, right? The green purple deck that kind of came out of nowhere, but then it kind of just fell off as well because, like we said, it wasn't good from the get go. There's issues. Now, like the blue steel. Speaking of the blue steel, the list that it's good into the placing into the meta right now, but that list had been going on for a while. It's just the meta kind of changed a lot into purple steel. We're favored into purple steel. Hey, let's do it. It actually has a win con now with the shift Jasmine against Blurple because it finally found a way to do a nice hybrid of wait, I don't have to put a bunch of crappy allies in my deck. I can just play the good allies and use my shift Jasmine for the Pleakley combo and still play Tink on 4 and still play Vincenzo on 5. Like I get to do both. So I think the fact that how Dre's big on this, like having a strategy against every deck, and it figured out finally a good strategy against Blurple with still being able to hyper ramp and beat Purple Steel and beat Dogs and beat all these other decks that it can beat, right? So I don't think it's in a bad spot. I actually would have loved to if Milwaukee was maybe 2 more weeks away, 3 more to get more reps with that deck. But yeah, I mean, I don't think neither we can agree that I don't think like people are bad if they choose one of these outlier decks. Like how we said, how comfortable are you with it? And then are you gonna have that path that, like it's about having that path. You are relying more on that path though, right? Like if you're playing that green purple deck, if you're playing the green steel deck and you're playing the blue steel deck, hey, but what you get the bigger clout, the bigger like, hey, you're the most popular person in the world at that moment. Pros and cons, right? Hey, beware. Like you do that. I'm done playing that game for now. I think I'm gonna play a safer route. I'm chilling, but I'm just saying.
I definitely agree with that, Hector. I definitely think there's a time where you want to play to be the shiniest person in the room, and there's a time where you want to play to be the best person in the room. And the first DLC of the season is definitely the latter. So I would say.
Yeah, and with that, I think it'd be a good place to transition into DLC. We kind of went over each of the decks, some details into the matchups, but let's start there with the outliers. What do you guys think the outliers will be going into the DLC this weekend?
Well, I definitely think we'll see some green steel. I think that one is picking up some wind currently at the moment. I think that deck has been popular online. Like a lot of times you play on Lorcanito and you end up playing against that deck at least once or twice. A lot of people are definitely touching onto that one. I don't know if people are still on the GP stuff. It was really popular at first, but even though it did quote unquote well at the event in Bologna, it didn't do well enough for us to be for people to really look at it and want to give it a try. So I honestly don't think I'll even see that deck at all. If anything, like the percentage of it, it'll be pretty low. As for the blue steel deck, I mean, I don't really see it making as many waves um, as people may think it is. I don't really imagine that deck will do too well. So
I'm actually a little bit of the three. I think blue still might do the best because I expect purple still to be pretty popular, and I know that matchup is pretty good. Um, and then it just depends on how many purple players they can get by. If they can get by one or two, that might be enough because then they're gonna be able to do what they do against like the other steel decks. Because I still think they have a good chance to beat like aggro. Amber still can be tricky with Tiana if they have Tiana, but yeah, they can go Tink. You got Smash. You got
Tinkerbell
Vincenzo.
on turn 4 is pretty good.
yeah,
Tinkerbell on turn 4 against Tiger was really good.
versus the aggro
Exactly.
decks, it is pretty good. Yeah, my argument isn't more for its incapability of being able to beat the other decks. Like I definitely think a pilot on it will do well. I mean, I'm watching it happen, but I think I think people aren't going to be able. There aren't going to be a lot of people taking it. Is basically what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So I don't think we're going to see a huge representation of a deck like that.
Yeah,
There might be too scared of the Blurple monster. So
and that's
Yeah.
fair.
we'll
But I
see.
mean, even Dre had mentioned to me, I think we were in the court, like, he's like, you know what's funny enough, Hector? Like, weirdly enough, Blue Steel's in action in a pretty good spot right now. But it was too late. We already had her been grinding, and I'm like, you're right, but I'm like too much grinding in. It's so like too late to check in. It's like so of me that like like almost bleed Blue Steel. Then what are these other players, right? That are just no one's gonna be switching to Blue Steel unless you're part of the Blue Steel cult. Going
Yeah.
on. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like you're not right. Like it's almost them. Like you have to be really confident on what you're doing because at the end of the day, it's also can be a deck that's like you can't just go on YouTube and watch like I mean, Morales did do a guide for it, but it's not really out there like that for you, like as easy as Amber Steel or Purple Steel that you just boom and pick it up, right?
Yeah.
It's more on like the dogs level and like the green purple level. Like, better really know what you're doing with that deck. If you're gonna have the guts to take it. So that's kind of how I feel. With that being said, I do think out of the three outliers, it does have the best positioning right now. But I will say this not because Blue Steel's so broken, is because Purple Steel, I think, is going to have a very high representation. And naturally, aggro is also going to be there. That's also known to be very good against aggro, right? So, yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about what we expect to be the most popular, and kind of work our way down from the top. What do you
Sure.
guys think will be the number one? Because we all know Bologna Blurple was like almost 40%, like 36, 37.
36 at 36%.
Yeah,
Um,
something ridiculous.
With any other DLC, the second highest was ever, which Bucky at 28%. Think
wow,
about that. It jumped 8%.
that's
So, I
wild.
mean, people are complaining about Bucky tiers. I mean, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I definitely think the Blurple deck will probably be the most represented. Just to run it down, I guess I could give my list. Really, I think the Blurple deck will be the most represented. I don't know if it'll be 36%. It'll probably be a little bit lower. Um, I don't think it'll be those high of numbers. I think it was a little bit less figured out when it was Bologna. I think people were just falling back on something that they knew. I think now a lot of people have game plans for the Blurple deck. So I'm looking at the Purple Steel players. Like I think they have a lot of game plans. I'm looking at the Trinidad players. I think they have a lot of game plans. So like specifically, I think it'll be in that order. Like it'll probably be Blurple first. The next percentage would be like the Purple Steel decks. The next percentage after that will be the Amber Steel aggro deck because it's the easiest deck to pick up and the easiest deck to do well with. And obviously, it definitely tackles the Blurple matchup, which a lot of people like to be able to beat. If you have a good run and you see a lot of Blurple, I think a lot of people will be banking on that. So they'll end up bringing out the Amber Steel aggro decks. After that, I think it'll be the green yellow deck, and then a fifth and last will be the blue green deck, which I genuinely feel like is a deck that has fallen off, and I absolutely fully would advise anybody who is going to the DLC to not bring that deck. Do not bring that deck. That deck is a time eater. Its worst matchup is the clock. It's not even the fact that it's a bad deck or anything. I think the deck is very good. I think the deck has like a lot of advantages. I think the deck is very good against aggro. I think it has a losing matchup in Blurple. However, it's winnable. Like you have to see a lot of your pieces, but it is winnable. Its issue is that the deck takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to be able to do well with. So especially not only in practice, but also in actual game, it takes up a lot of your clock. And if you are not quick with it, you are adding on an extra layer to be able to lose. So I would highly suggest not taking the blue-green deck if you're planning on taking it to Milwaukee. And if you are planning on taking it to Milwaukee, I suggest you time yourself when you practice.
Remember when blue green was the deck you played to beat Blurple, and now it's the green blue players are like, I can beat aggro, but I don't want to face Blurple.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, those dude, that matchup, like it's one thing when you're in a blue-green mirror, it's another thing when you're playing blue-green versus Blurple because you can only beat Blurple in one way. You have to beat them in the late game. You don't have a choice. You have to make sure you exhaust them of most of their resources, and then finally, once you get them to that point, you can choke them out with your Clarabelles, with your John Silvers, with your Basils, get cards in their hand, get cards back into their hand and off the board, and then you can decide to quest. And it's taking all of that time to be able to do that, which makes that matchup so absolutely rough because you end up in a
especially
situation
when you
where
face
you,
the good Blurple players, right? Like, I'm gonna
oh
make
yeah,
your Under the Sea probably worthless. I'm gonna make your Welcomes not feel as good. I'm gonna make that Clarabelle max. You better draw only one or two cards at best. You better, if you ever
yeah,
bend to your will, you're only gonna discard two. Like good Blurple players, like some Blurple players will never resolve Dumbo, but Dumbo will still quest the 20 lore itself.
yeah,
It's like I like they just know how to kind of beat that matchup. So yeah.
yeah.
I
You guys
also
can
would.
talk
I
about
also agree with Dre.
your
That's one
representation.
deck that I would absolutely not touch for. And I no, don't play that deck. I don't think it's. Yeah, I think it's very fragile. I also think it's very fragile. Like you better that the clearable emeralds right now is just very fragile unless you're like kind of doing some dog strategy. Like I think emerald's just very fragile at the moment. That's my only issue with
Yeah, a
emerald.
lot of times it feels like it's a deck that has to resolve the Clarabelle or has to resolve Donald Duck for multiple turns. And if it doesn't do either of those things, then it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't see all of my pieces. What am I gonna do? And like you, like that,
Yeah,
it just doesn't sound
even
realistic
there's
taking
times
that
that they
into
draw
a 12
crack.
round
They'll
event.
shift on 5, but they don't have like your welcome dream play. So they'll shift
Right.
on 5. They'll be like, how many cards in hand, and they don't get to draw any because we'll have the same amount, and they'll be like pass. They'll be like Hades, you lose. Like I don't know. Like, it's just like what's going on.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
percentage fighting. Sorry, Eddie. Were
yeah,
you
yeah. I
talking
don't know if you
about?
want to yeah go down your list,
Okay, so I
Hector.
do believe purple is going to be the most represented deck. I don't think it's going to be 38%. I do think a good amount of the community has had more time to be able to get comfortable with a different deck. I also believe in Top Cut. It didn't see the highest numbers, and then it did win, but then people started doing the whole, oh, well, it's because it faced purple. So I think a lot of people, weirdly enough, are going to get straight away from Blurple to Purple Steel or to these other strategies. But I do believe it's still going to take 30% of the meta share. And I do believe Purple Steel will be the second most represented deck, if not very close with like a 27, 26. And then you have your others, which is going to be just aggro, kind of like the dogs. And I mean, we keep saying dog is not really an aggro deck, but you guys know what I mean with dogs and Amber Steel, the ones that beat Blurple, right? And then we're going to have that going on. But that's kind of how I feel. Um, I'm done talking about Blue Steel being by this. I'm just gonna stay quiet on it. I would love to see a Blue Steel in Top Cut, so we'll see. But yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you guys are saying. Like, I do think Blurple's gonna be the most popular, but maybe like 32 or 30 to 32%. And then Purple Steel just seems to be like the obvious. If you're not playing Purple, you're gonna probably play Purple Steel type of deck. And it's I mean for good reason, right? It has like fair matchup into everything else, and even favored into I think like the blue green decks also, which is like another reason why I wouldn't take blue green, just too much purple steel. Um, in third place, Amber Steel. I I I'm actually a big fan of Amber Steel. I know um, it can be an easy deck to play, but against the best players, it can beat the best players, and I think that's gonna give it a fair chance to kind of go the distance. Like if I were to predict like a final, it might be like a purple steel amber steel final. That's kind of
Oh
what I
wow,
expect.
I
wow.
can actually see that too. I can actually see that too.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of makes sense, like with the way people are deciding what to take for the reasons that they want to make the decision. And yeah, and I mean, I think fourth place is dogs. Dogs is gonna do work, and I mean, without blue green, dogs can probably make top cut. It might have the best conversion rate again, because we saw I think it had the best conversion rate in Bologna, and it probably will maintain that high level of conversion rate because not many people will be playing it, and the people playing it are going to be like the best players in the world, like Zan and I think
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah, those decks are the green decks, right? I
Sailor.
think it's cool that you say that too, because like with like they even mentioned on the podcast with Zan, it's like you have to take account out of the 2,000 players playing, how many of them are the local players from Milwaukee, how many of them are the ones that like don't play this game too competitively but love Lorcana. We know a lot of those people, like in Vegas, a lot of people just go and they just wanted to go and have fun. So but also win. So at that point, as an aggro player, your choices is dogs and Amber Steel. Which one are you gonna play? If your choices is Blurp or Purple Steel, which one are you gonna play, right? And that definitely adds on to the percentage numbers, right? So like then you start going like, yeah, it's 20% Amber Steel, and not to discredit, not to talk smack, but like how many of the 20% Amber Steel are gonna be piloting that efficiently? Purple Steel with 27%. How many players are gonna be piloting that efficiently? Because I do believe it's. Let's be real. We're also in a format that you need variables like your good matchups, but it's also that those good matchups you get decks are like this, barely like this. So even your good matchups, you better be winning those. Like, you just cannot be throwing your good matchups. So I don't know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I think everyone who knows and plays every deck respects dogs. and that's not like coincidence. You know, they know it can beat anything, and especially if you know how to play it like perfect. Um, like every time I go against dogs, I don't care if it's someone I know who like colorless or a good boy, like those guys have been rocking around here, locals. So I've actually dodged them, so I haven't experienced that yet. But I don't know if you
You know,
guys
weirdly
have
enough,
gone
though.
against them.
Weirdly enough, though.
I had to play them in top choice.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh,
I
they're good
got
players.
I got triple daisied in the finals. That was nice.
Oh, man,
We,
that
we,
was-
we were we were happy.
Jeez.
Um, you know, speaking of that, so we talk about how like Amber Steel is probably a good deck to go with. How do you guys feel about? Because I was talking to Shane, I was talking to a few players that a lot of Amber Steel players do not care about actually facing Purple Steel. Some of them don't feel unfavored against it, right? With the four shielders, then you quest Tiana, and I don't care if you have a hook and Calhoun. You know, if I'm questing with Tiana turning sideways, your Calhoun and hook are now like one strength or like zero strength, right? So if you're not really carrying into Purple Steel that much, and you're not carrying going against Blurple, and you combine that percentage, Purple Steel and Blurple is like 50, 60% of the room.
Yeah.
Is that the call? To be fair, though, too, the good Blurple players will also low key not care to go against Cyber Steel because we have more exerters now and this and that. So let's not like you know they're giga favorite into Blurple. They still are, but it's not how it was before. To be fair,
Yeah.
like that those extra
Yeah, I
strength
don't know.
points.
I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like we're giving a lot of lot of power to the Amber Steel aggro deck that like which is definitely been I don't want to say solved, but a lot of people have game plans for that deck now. You know, I mean, it's not the start of the meta anymore where the Amber Steel aggro deck can just play Aurora, play Tiana, and then be able to spin to win. You know, like they still like we have game plans for Tiana now. Like we have strengthening, we have hypnotic strength on our Rafiki. We have just different into the unknown lines where we make sure we get to deal with them. We're playing a lot more resters in our Blurple deck to be able to deal with cards that are standing up straight. And not only that, I feel like there's also the Chromadog deck is a huge thing that we haven't that is like one of the things that really impeded Emerald Aggro from doing well in Bologna, or as well as it could have done in Bologna, because the dog deck plays really well into that matchup. Like I feel like it eats it alive once it resolves in Under the Sea, right?
Mhm.
As long as it has the Under the
It's
Sea in the
over.
list, like a lot of the times, like that is just it does what that deck does, but it can just do it better sometimes, right? I mean, it's not doing it in the exact same fashion, not doing it in the exact same way where they're just playing Daisy and going sideways instantly, but it can pivot to that. And so I feel like that deck will be able to do better than the Amber Steel aggro deck. And as you guys said earlier, that there might be the Amber Steel aggro deck in the finals. I would say I would imagine the dog deck in the finals before I imagined Amber Steel aggro. Like I feel like the dog deck is extremely strong, and like if I had to make a guess of what I think the finals would end up being, it would probably be a dog deck versus a Blurple deck, or a Blurple mirror, or a Purple Steel versus a Blurple deck, or any combination of the three. I feel like those are the three decks that I would imagine to see in the finals. I don't imagine to see either Amber Steel aggro or Blue Green in the finals, because I think once you have a set game plan versus them, I think they're facing too much adversity at that point. I think both of those decks are facing too much adversity, at least in the top cut finishes. I don't know if I think those decks are strong enough to get through Swiss and be able to make the top cut. I think finishing in the top cut with those type of decks is a different story. So
Oh yeah, it's definitely a hot take there. I mean, I do respect dogs. I think that's maybe the big thing we're gonna take from this is dogs is something you gotta respect, especially if you're a Blurple player, you already know like how threatening dogs is with Chromacon. And it's
yeah,
obviously still beatable, but
I will say though, I have a 100%. Oh, actually, no, I don't have 100% win rate. Oh my goodness, I was gonna say like I have 100% win rate versus the dog deck in set champs, but no, I lost in the finals to dogs. So there you go. I'm making my own argument. Like he just completely fully pivoted in that game. I remember specifically, he just had way more daisies than I would expect a dog player to open with. He didn't even play any of his dogs out. I was playing against ducks. I wasn't playing against dogs.
Now, a lot of people also just want to make to day two and just top, right? But then there are all those players that are trying to win the event and like they know they're going to top and they're trying to win the event. So we have to take into account open deck lists, right? So Blurple and Dogs, here's my deck list, do something about it, right? Which is it's harder to do because at the end of the day, you can't stop me from drawing turn to ramp. Luck can stop me from drawing turn to ramp, right? Amber
Mhm.
Steel, if I see it, guess what? Like I know what I'm only aiming for, and I know what you're gonna be doing. Like your strategy
Yeah.
becomes less powerful, as in
Mhm.
it doesn't matter that you know I'm on Blurple. Like you're gonna do your strategy regardless. Guess what? I'm going for Ursulas. I'm going for Into the Unknowns. I'm going for my
Mhm.
Fikis. Like do something about it. Like right.
Yeah.
So they get away. Amber Steel will get a lot through Swiss. Game one, take over. I won the Dire one. I won game one. They didn't like. They're just gonna steal a lot of matches that way, and then they go
So
into Top Cut and they get absolutely
yeah.
slattered.
That's another good point as well too. Like being able to see that deck list, for both of those decks, both blue green and for Amber Steel aggro. Amber Steel aggro being like a much more of a low ceiling type of deck. You're expecting to see, what do you see on their deck list, right? Maybe they're on Sven, maybe they're on Rhino, maybe they're not on Rhino. Once you kind of pick up on those things, now you kind of know what to look out for, right? It's like, oh, if he's hitting 4, I need to be careful of this. If he is playing out Rhino, I need to be careful of this, right? And then same thing with the blue green deck, right? You see, maybe they're on the shift Baymax, maybe they're on multiple stop chaos in its tracks. You have to like you look at the count of their Under the Sea, look at the count of their Ursula song rip. Once you start seeing those things in that deck, now you're able to start playing around things. Whereas for the Blurple deck and for the Purple Steel deck, maybe a little bit more for the Purple Steel deck, you can kind of play around things. Maybe they're on less Ismas, something like that. Maybe they're on like Lilo challengers.
Blurple's like do
Those
something
things you can
about
kind of
it.
rid of. Blurple is absolutely like do something about it. You know what I mean? Like I am playing this amount of resters, I am playing this many second stars, I'm playing this many finders keepers, I'm playing these many
Hades,
searchers.
Elsa,
The
like
Hades are coming, the
what are you
Elses
gonna
are
do about
coming.
it?
Like what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel about those decks. And then same thing with the dog deck. Like like I don't know. Like are they on 4 daisies or are they on 3? Like I can't stop them really. Like there are ways to stop that deck, but like a good player, a good pilot on those decks, it's a different story. Compared to the Amber Steel deck, at least. So I mean, that's just how I feel about that deck. So
Yeah, I think that's the thing I actually appreciate the most about those big tournaments is going against the best players, getting those like amazing reps against like true gamers like who like
It's
who
like
do
you hear
this.
all these professionals, right, and all these teams, and then you're realizing all these people flew out for one purpose, and then we're all in the one venue, right? We have all these like set champs, and we have all these like SoCal 8 cases, and we have all these other stores with all these. I'm not even gonna mention from the other side of the U.S. with these big tournaments, and then it's like we're all here. Let's go at it. Maelstrom, then you have a
Yep.
Zan's team, and then all this good stuff. It's fun competition.
World
We
yeah.
love it.
class. Yep.
Well, one beautiful thing about hitting the top cut, and this is something that I learned in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's really like exhilarating in the sense that it opens up a third eye almost, because what we called it in Yu-Gi-Oh is called entering the arena. So like once you hit that top cut and you've made day 2 and it's time, you have a couple rounds to be able to play, and you're starting off your top 32, top 64 match, whatever it is that you're in. The game's on. It's almost like you're playing a local at that point. You know what I mean? If you really count it, right? Top 32 is 1 win, top 16 is 2 wins, top 8 is 3 wins, top 4 is 4 wins, and then the finals. That's 5 rounds. That is not long at all. You know what I mean? Once you win that first match and you feel what you feel, and you've beaten like that top player or whatever, whoever you've beaten your worst matchup, all of a sudden you start feeling how close the crown is. And like that's what we call, stepping into the arena. Once you've stepped into the arena, the gladiators, you start to feel what it takes to be able to step to that arena. And that's a really exhilarating feeling, because it's like, man, I was only this many wins away from like actually winning the entire thing. What would have happened like if I did this completely differently or this completely differently? You start looking at all the minuscule decisions that you made in Top Cut, but it's one of the best feelings in the world by far, I would say. And I hope it for literally everybody listening to this podcast. Like seriously, best of luck to everybody, because getting into that main stage spot and being able to say, okay, I just need to get this next win and then I'm on to top 16. I just need to get this next win and then I'm on to top 8, so on and so forth. Man, is that such a good feeling?
Yeah. I can't. I mean, yeah, I'm so excited. For you guys that are going representing, SoCal.
Oh yeah,
eh,
guys. By the way, Eventbrite 2-0 Eddie again. So he's like one of the only two ones of the whole gang that cannot
Oh,
go.
Yeah.
no.
Eventbrite, man.
Eventbrite got him
Eddie,
again. He 2-0'd him. So
I
sad.
think I
Eddie.
gotta move. I need better internet.
I think
Like,
I
that's the
gotta
problem.
move.
Nothing
I
else
think
is
I gotta
working.
go hit up like a McDonald's Wi-Fi or like
Nothing
a
else is
library or
working.
something. Help me out, bro. I can't get into these to these DLCs.
To be fair, this time you fell asleep, right, Eddie? You just didn't wake up.
That was the first time, and then there was like the second chance,
All right.
and then the third chance, and then the fourth chance. Because every like randomly like on a Wednesday, they're like, "Hey guys, tickets are up." I'm like, what? I go check. Oh, they're gone. And it's happened like 5 times.
Okay, now I don't feel as bad because I feel like you're just not watching it as closely as I expected you to.
No, literally, I feel bad for everybody because what happened, that whole issue would happen with Event Pass, and then they put it to Eventbrite. It
Oh,
was
that
all
was
that.
lame,
I
dude.
did not feel bad for Eddie because he's like, "Oh, I just woke up, guys. I missed it." I'm like, "All right, well, that's on you, bro. Like, I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you. This time I
I
don't
missed
feel
the
as bad."
fiasco.
But,
I
come on,
missed the
lock
1
in.
hour pre-release tickets.
Yeah,
I
that
missed
was insane. Luckily, I had no trouble, but I mean, I guess this is a good way to segue into talking about the overall DLC prep and events and stuff like that, and to be able to get into an actual DLC itself.
How do you do it? How do you guys do it?
Step one: wake up on time and sign up. That's
Wake up
it.
time out. Yeah, that's number one for
All
entry
right.
into
Step
event
two:
prep.
we're in. So what are we doing, Dre? What are we doing? Step
What are
two.
we doing? Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the prep. I mean, Hector has experienced it firsthand. We there's a lot of back and forth. Make sure you have a really strong testing group. Brutally honest with yourself. I think that's number one. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. If your deck is not performing the way it should be performing in all your testing and all your competitiveness, don't let the ego keep you on that. Make sure you are really looking at your deck and saying, hey, this is not working. What do I need to do to change it? And then feel free to ask the people around you. The more brains is better than one. Seriously, like the several brains is better than one. So we don't have all the answers. So look at what you got going on. Next is obviously prepping matchups. Once you really have something figured out, it's every matchup is important. You have to have a game plan into every single round that you go into. If you're taking it once you have that game plan set up for whatever matchup you want, I won't get into too many specifics, but for whatever matchup you want to be able to practice and to be able to really get locked down, you take it one turn at a time, one ink at a time, even one card at a time. The game isn't over until that person hits 20. So make sure that you are taking every little thing into account as much as possible for you prep. And then as for overall DLC tips, just try to make your travel as comfortable as possible. Seriously, like the travel has to be comfortable. Make sure you're with the right people. You make sure your housing situation is good. Just regular travel tips. I won't say I'm the best at this. I'm definitely a last minute packer kind of person. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you are as ready as possible for your event coming up. So.
And speaking of that, it's actually huge because you mentioned that because it reminded me, like, I had the situation. So my sponsor, shout out Top Choice Gaming, they were, trying to hook me up with like, we're figuring out the flying situation, and then so hits me up with like Friday, like I can get you like Friday flight and getting there at 10 p.m. like 9 p.m. on Friday. And then I already had gone the day on Thursday,
So
so I had
late.
to figure out a different way. And because I told myself, I'm like, I know if I do that, it's just a waste. Because myself, I would not be able to lock in. I cannot, like, just that day flying. I know myself. I'm like, at that point, you know what? Don't even fly me. I will do bad. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this L. Let's do Thursday. I'm not gonna go to Ontario. Some of you guys don't know the area. I'm not gonna go 15 minutes away. I'll drive the 1 hour away, go to Chicago, take the train from Chicago to Milwaukee, but still get there at Thursday at 5 p.m. to Milwaukee instead of Friday night at 10 p.m. Because I need to like settle in on these type of like I cannot like so know what works for you. For some people, a lot of people say you should not be testing the night before. Maybe it does work for you. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Do what works for you on your sleep. One thing though, I do say, do not be that person that I don't need sleep. I do not need food. You're a human, believe it or not. No matter what you say, no matter how superhuman you think you are, you need sleep and you need food. All right.
I'm definitely the kind of like no sleep type of person before the event. I'm too used to doing U events and pulling all nighters trying to figure out the last two cards in my side deck. Typically, so,
Oh, that is definitely something.
Oh my gosh.
that's always the last 2 to 3 cards in your side deck, or whether or not I want to play this extra deck monster or not, or for this matchup or whatever. Like a lot of that in Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't get decided until the last second. So I'm not gonna say it's the same with Lorcana. Really, I haven't had the same situation with Lorcana. So,
But we want to get everything down to a T, right? Because I did tell
yeah.
Karan like 2 weeks ago, like a week ago. I'm like, I am locked in on 58 cards. Do not let me switch those 58 cards no matter what. I'm super locked in. But I'll tell you this whole week going through 2 different cards and all these different 2 cards, and it's so hard. It's like you just want to make sure I don't want my deck to be 98% correct. I want my deck to be 100% correct. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So,
No, I get you.
I think so many games are just 2 different cards every like 5 matches onto like his age.
Yeah, I've seen some of those
Seriously.
spicy. I've seen some of those spiciness.
Hey, it was 2 wasabi's at one point.
You're making some fun choices, bud.
Like
It was
the
2
second they
wasabi,
announced
and it
side
was an
decks.
unfortunate. I put a third Ursula and a poor unfortunate souls, but it's good to test these things. I need to figure out like actually,
Yep.
and then figure out.
Yeah, I saw
stuff.
you play Poor Fortune
I will
Souls.
say this: I
"Whoa."
think Drake won't say much, but they did put me on a card that, as much as I did not, I believe was a different card. I think it's gonna be 2 copies of that, and we'll leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. We don't have to talk about that card, but he knows what card it is.
Hey, if you're talking about what I talk about, I'm really happy right now. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
gonna be those 2 of those. Right?
I'm really excited about it.
Like
Just
an
because.
Upstart Goblin. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much what it is. and I'm
Upstart
playing.
Goblin.
Hey, it is.
That's all we need to know.
No, yeah, I mean, for me, like the tips is like besides
Wake up on time.
Yeah,
sign
besides
up.
waking up early, like if your deck is due, don't wait till like 5 minutes. Don't be like me and change the card for the 5th time.
Oh,
last
dude,
card
please.
for the 5th
Oh
time.
my goodness. We have to talk about this, please. Because
no.
Eddie, we're going
one
to what not to do.
One
This is what
thing
not to do,
about
guys.
Eddie.
Eddie, let
One
him know what
thing
you do.
about Eddie, dude,
I have a
is
ritual, and it's a
he
crash out
is-
ritual.
he is the crash out king the night before the event. It is so funny. My last event that I went with you, which was PPG Fort Worth, which I ended up doing really well at, which was awesome.
You killed it.
Dude, Eddie, the night before, I swear, switched between 4 to 5 decks. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it. Even in Yu-Gi-Oh, all of my experience in Yu-Gi-Oh, I've never seen somebody switch between decks that often the night before. That was crazy. He had like a roulette, bro, and he was just spinning it. Like, just playing, jamming game after game after game. It's like 3 a.m. I'm like, dude, what are you picking?
Gathering
And then
knowledge.
finally he's like, yeah, green steel, screw it.
It was
Like,
such that
no
it doesn't
rhyme or
beat these
reason.
habits out of them when it works. We went to San Diego and it was the same exact thing. We were testing this mirror, whatever. I think it was on Blue Bed or whatever. And then out of nowhere, he's like, "Well, I'm gonna test with Caesar now." And then I look over and he's over here testing RA. And I was like, "What are you doing? You were just testing this deck, isn't that?" And he's like, "It's 3 a.m, dude." And I'm like, but it worked that one and he got first. And sometimes when it works, it's hard to beat the bad habits. I'm guilty of that myself. When something works and you just gotta beat those bad habits, no matter when it works. You have to know it's bad.
I've had to learn it the hard way now. Like like so many tournaments deep of like crashing out. I test every deck I play a different deck every day. I can't commit. And the fact that I've been doing it like since the game has started, I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it. So, like,
dude, you got pretty good at your crash out. You really mastered.
I've mastered the crash out, and I'm gonna find the one tech card that's for some reason it's gonna come up. But yeah, don't do that. I've from experience, don't do that. Don't be like me and try a million different strategies trying to break the meta the night before, and just play the deck, especially this meta. Like play the deck you know how to beat the most matchups. That's what's gonna matter the most in this meta. As far as tips, sleep. Take a protein shake. I love having a protein shake in my backpack. It's got liquid I can drink between a match, and it's kind of filling. Some protein helps the body like hydrate. And then for me, a big thing honestly is playlists. I always have a Lorcana or a playlist for each like trip. So
Yeah, that is actually one thing that I did notice about you last event that we went to. Like the tournament started, and I'm like, "Hey Eddie, you locked in?" And the dude didn't hear me because he had his headset on, like the whole thing, like the setup, the beats and everything. And he's locking into the tournament, and I'm like, "This dude is a gladiator, bro." Like, He is locked in, man.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I tune everything out and just it's all about the game. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's exciting. Can't wait.
Yeah. I think my if you guys have any snacks of choice throughout the day, I have a very specific set snack of choices that I have to make sure that I'm filled up in between. There's one thing that a lot of card game players, and like I know you guys can attest to this, a lot of card game players do not like doing in between the tournament. They can do it before the tournament, obviously, is eat like a whole meal in between the tournament, because a lot of the times you eat that whole meal in the middle of the tournament. Say you have a break, say you have a lunch, whatever you have got going on, and all of a sudden you are food comed. You will lose focus. We say that all the time. So what we say is power snacks. You know what I mean? Like what Eddie was saying, like a protein shake. Like that's really good. One of the things that work really well for me, beef jerky is a good one. I think beef jerky is great. Have that with a bottle of water. You're super in there. Obviously, energy drinks. I mean, I'm always going to say energy drinks, but I wouldn't get sugar free. I would get ones with calories in it, and I would get ones with actual sugar in it. So that way, you're actually ready and a little bit more focused to be able to do what you do. Caffeine is just caffeine at the end of the day. I mean, you could also do a coffee. And then lastly, a Snickers. I don't know why, but like that's just for as long as I've been doing tournaments in general. One Snickers bar will set me straight for a really long time, for a very long time,
Also,
for at
I
least 8
think it's the
rounds.
peanuts because the one out that I was
Yeah.
gonna advise that I know the Snickers
Nuts.
have,
It's the
peanuts
nuts.
is really good power snack.
Yeah.
So and Snickers are stacked with the peanuts in there with the caramel and the
Mhm.
chocolate and the peanuts.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
peanut and granola bars. But granola bars are goaded. As much as I'm not like the biggest like I love granola bars, but for tournaments like it fills you
Yeah.
up.
A good Cliff Bar that'll help
Yeah,
you out.
the bars is good
Stuff
too.
like that.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Snickers, the nuts are really good. I think almonds are really strong as well too. I have almonds in my bag pretty often. So
Take bites here and there, guys. Like I said, well, one thing that's big is do not eat a whole. Even right before the tournament, do not like go and get a buffet and like be like right before the tournament. Like, what are you doing? So I don't know, just lock in.
Like for me, I have like yeah, I agree. For most people that works, but for me, I need my brain to slow down. So when I have a big meal, I feel like I'm normal and I can lock in. So that's just me though.
We were just talking about bad habits, not following. No matter what, he's doing the bad habits.
It's just funny you mentioned the
All
one
right.
thing that like honestly like I haven't lost a match after a meal. I'm like 20-0. I'm like that's
And
me
what did
though.
I say afterwards? Even
There's
when it
no way
works,
you're
it's
counting
hard
that
to make
shot.
the bad habits fall away because sometimes it works. There you
He
go.
said, "Hey, you heard it here first. 20-0 versus
Okay, guys.
20-0
When
versus
Eddie,
you
we're
with the
telling you
meal."
guys what not to do. Whatever Eddie say, that is what you don't do.
So
That is
20-0 with the
that's
meals.
that's actually good advice. I second that. Oh man. But yeah, man.
Take us out, Eddie. How to close it up here before
Okay,
my
yeah.
phone dies and we're screwed.
Yeah, guys, most important tip, win your die roll. All right? Just do that and you'll be good. You'll be chilling.
Oh yeah. Flip that coin.
So, yeah, let's wrap it up, guys. Thanks for if you made it this far to the end. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to all the crazy takes we have, and most of all, hope you took something from it. Hope you learned something from it. Please, leave a comment. We can respond to every comment, especially going into this DLC. We know how important it is and how excited everyone is, and we can't wait. We can't wait. And even though I won't be there, I know I'll be there in spirit with my boys crushing it. So definitely rooting for you guys, and it's gonna be awesome.
Make sure you guys check the description. We'll leave some of our socials there. I know some of us are like I have not been posting on the other channel for like 3-4 weeks now, but I'd rather be competitor. I try to be a competitor first before I even go into like anything of like the YouTube stuff. But definitely follow me on Instagram through there. I'll be posting all the Milwaukee journey, and I'll try to have a video out before then. But also any closing thoughts, Dre? I know he didn't even get to introduce himself. We're so used to like the intro of the cookout, like he didn't even. So any closing thoughts, Dre, or anything that you want to share before we close it out?
Nothing really. I mean, I hope to be at the top tables at least, right? And I hope to at least make it to day 2 and see everybody. I'm excited to see all the people that I've seen at past events and stuff like that. And
Say hi to us, guys.
yeah, come through, say hi. To all the Cookout members. Shout out to obviously the Lorcana Cookout for having me on. You guys are awesome. Shout out to the sponsors, Top Choice Gaming, Red Saber, CX, all of those guys. Those are always great. And if you guys want to follow me, keep up with me at all. Follow me on Twitter or X, I guess it's called now, ego_Dre. You'll see a lot of hot takes and me arguing with other Lorcana players. It's one of my favorite things to do. One of my favorite pastimes.
We'll have his link in the description, so you guys can definitely hit that up.
All right, guys.
Eddie, go ahead, close us out. Yeah, you're good.
And what does Danny say? Keep on cooking, keep on questing. Isn't that it? Let's go. Peace out.